Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and it is getting towards the end of February already. I can't believe it. It is Saturday, February 22nd, and today we'll share an update of some of the different birds people are seeing in their backyards and give an update on some of the snowy owls, some of the snow geese, and talk a little bit about wild turkey because we've had a couple wild turkey photos sent in this week. So I thought, what a great time to talk about turkey. So, as always, we love to know who's on. You can say hi in the comments. If you have questions, you can throw those in there too. And absolutely, always let us know what kind of things you are seeing. We are planning lots of fun events for the year here at the Birdhouse. So, stay tuned for all of those announcements. We're starting to announce some of the events and get them up on our event calendar. So you can always check our Facebook page and our website where we've got some bird walks we're doing with Rochester Birding Association. So that should be really fun. We have some walks we're doing on our own, and we'll be having telescope nights again. We've got some dates set for a few telescope nights, and we're also going to be announcing those birding cruises next week too. So lots of fun stuff going on. If you are local to the area, we do have our suet sale going on right now too. You can buy 4, get 1 on all the suet and seed logs and all that good stuff we have here at the store. And we have our jigsaw puzzle swap going on this weekend too. So we've got lots of stuff going on in store. We also have our caption contest going on for anybody. It doesn't matter where you are in the country or in the world for that matter. We've got our caption contest, and you still have time to enter until midnight tonight. That's when the winners will be tallied. So every 2 weeks, we post a new photo from our photo contest, and whoever has the best caption on it that gets the most reactions from the world, whether it be likes or laughs or what have you, whoever gets the most reactions to their comment on this photo here, will win a $25 gift certificate to the Birdhouse. So it doesn't cost anything to enter. You can go on our Facebook page and look for this photo here of a very regal looking dog and put in your best comment on this photo to caption this photo, and you might just win yourself a $25 gift certificate. It doesn't cost anything to enter. Just hop on our Facebook page and throw in your caption. So, talking some turkey here. These photos were sent in by Mark J. It says fun wild turkey series of pics, and it's pretty cool. I like seeing these photos here of the turkeys in the trees. It's not something you see all the time. I've only seen it maybe once or so. I have seen some turkeys fly, so they do fly. They're really, really big birds. You tend to see them walking around on the ground. They like some kind of wooded habitat. They tend to like wooded habitat that's by wide open areas where they can do a lot of grazing. Turkeys will eat lots of different foods. So they're pretty generalist in their diet. They eat lots of nuts. They eat seeds. They'll eat grasses. They also eat a lot of insects. When insects are out, they'll eat berries. They'll even eat things like small mammals and salamanders and snakes. So they will even eat vertebrate animals as well. So they have a really diverse diet. And you can usually see them grazing, if you will, foraging in open fields, especially if they're open fields around woods where they will kind of roost for the evening. But here's some photos sent in by Mark of some turkeys hanging out in a tree. Really cool series of photos here. And here's a nice male turkey here, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can tell the difference, some of the differences between male and female here. This is a male turkey, and then here's a little flock here as well. Looks like some females here in the flock and male in the back there. And also, our one of our staff members had an experience with a turkey this week too. This is a couple photos from our very own staff member Leslie, who happened upon a turkey in a parking lot. Look, if you look in the rear view mirror there, or side mirror, you can see there's a little turkey looking at her. And yeah, it was just kind of hanging around the parking lot. Apparently, it just kind of hangs out there and walks around and checks out everything. So you never know where you will see these turkeys. There was one that was harassing a lot of people several years ago out on Elmwood Ave. If you're local to the Rochester area that would just kind of run around in traffic and go after all the cars. So you never know when you'll see a turkey or have experience with a turkey. Might not just be out in the woods, it could be while you're driving down the street. Some ways to tell the differences between male and female. Sometimes it's super obvious. If you see a turkey that looks like this with a big tail fanned out, that is a male. But then there's some other ways to tell the differences between male and female. So the males have the ability to fan their tails like this. They have what are called leg spurs, which look like this. So you can see here, there's the foot of the turkey, but then they also have this really sharp spur on the back of their legs. The females will not have those. That's a really good way to identify the two of them. And they almost always have a beard. So here's the beard on the male right there. Females tend not to have those. And the males will have a very featherless head. And usually the females, you can see some kind of feathers on the tops of their heads. Another way, if you're close to them or if you're looking through a scope or your binoculars, you might be able to see that the tips of the feathers on the breast of the male are tipped in black. So the very tips of the feathers, if you look very, very closely, they're lined in black, whereas in the females, they're more of a brownish color. So if you see a whole bunch of turkeys together, you might also see a size disparity. Usually females with birds, when we're talking about birds of prey and everything, are larger. In the case of turkeys, the males are the larger bird. And so here's a picture of a male, really big, showing off male. And then there's the leg spur. And then here's a female. So it can kind of be hard to tell size-wise unless you see a whole bunch of them together. But some ways to tell the differences. Again, it might be hard to see in this picture, but the breast feathers are tipped in a brownish color. There's no leg spur on the legs, so you can see it just goes straight down to the foot. Rarely has a beard, so it doesn't have that big beard of feathers that are sticking out of its breast. And they tend to have some kind of feathers on the top of their head. So if we're going back to some of these photos here, you can tell that this is a male here. It's not super obvious. You can't really see the big fan tail. It's not fanning out or anything like that. But the feathers, the breast feathers, are tipped in black. You can see there is that spur on the back of the leg, and it does have that beard sticking out. So some ways to tell the differences between male and female. Looks like these look like they might be some maybe first year animals here too. So really cool turkey, some turkey photos sent in this week, which was really fun. Not your most typical set of photos that get sent in. So if you've got any photos, of course, you can always send them in to us. We love to know what kind of things you guys are seeing. Been keeping track of the snow goose migration because they're known to have huge migratory events, and one of them, they tend to pass through the Montezuma area, which is a wildlife refuge by us, every year in the hundreds of thousands. So I tend to keep an eye on it, and it's around this time of the year that it happens. So the snow goose migration, if you're lucky enough to see it, there can be so many snow geese that they just completely fill the sky. And this is what they look like a little bit more zoomed in. Very white bird with black tips on the wings. And I pulled up maps to see where they've been seen this month locally. There's been a whole bunch that are still down in the Pennsylvania area, Delaware area, all around Delaware Bay. Some have been seen around here, not in those huge numbers yet, and not much around Rochester itself, but in the Finger Lakes area, you can see around the Finger Lakes, there have been some sighted, but not in the tens or hundreds of thousands. So something I'll keep an eye on, but not a lot of activity at the moment. Snowy owls, though, are still being seen at the Finger Lakes Airport. So if you're looking for snowy owl, you still have a little bit of time to see one. And then some short-eared owls are also still being seen, especially in the Avon area. So you still have some time to see some short-eared owls. You might also come across some northern harrier when you're out there looking for these birds of prey. So some cool photos sent in there. I shared this on Tuesday, yellow-bellied sapsucker coming to one of our staff member Cassidy's feeders, coming to suet. If you're looking for suet, we have it on sale here, buy four, get one. And it's still coming. So she just saw it the other day again. So not your most common woodpecker to see in your backyard at a suet feeder, but in the wintertime when food is a little bit more scarce, you just might happen upon something you don't see every day. So really cool footage there of a yellow-bellied sapsucker, which is a migratory woodpecker. Tend not to be a resident here, but there have been some that have been overwintering here over the last several years. We've been hearing reports about them. So some other things to be out on the lookout for, of course, cardinals. Lots of people reporting cardinals, big groups of cardinals. They're not territorial this time of the year, although today the sun is shining and it's starting to almost feel a little bit like spring. The birds were singing like crazy today, and with it being just a little bit warmer out today, it's might get past freezing, so maybe we can thaw out some of this snow and ice. It's amazing once the sun comes out how the birds will all of a sudden come out and start coming back to feeders and coming back to the backyards. They're not hunkered down so much anymore, but they are on the move. So you might see more activity today now that it's warming up a little bit. So here's some things to be on the lookout for, things like northern cardinal. There's been some a towhee reported locally at Mendon Ponds Park, hanging out Birdsong Trail. And here's a picture of it here on the left. This is an eastern towhee, and this is a female. She's pretty brownish in color. The males are very black in color, but the towhee is a type of sparrow. Sometimes they do come to bird feeders. Sometimes you can see them underneath your bird feeders. So one type of sparrow you can be on the lookout for. There's been a field sparrow, actually a couple field sparrows out on Birdsong Trail. Not your typical winter bird, but just like everything else, you never know what you'll see when you go out and explore nature. They're not really here in the wintertime most of the time, but there's been some that are brave and staying over the winter. Keep an eye out for white-throated sparrow. You definitely could get these at your feeders and hanging out underneath your feeders, eating the scraps of seed. They've got that white patch on their throat, and they've got that little yellow patch between their eye and their bill. American tree sparrow, same thing. You might get them underneath your feeders, hanging out, or even at your feeders, eating sunflower seeds, sunflower hearts. They've got that black dot on their breast, and they have that bicolored bill and the chestnut-colored cap. And then dark-eyed junco. This is a bird you're most likely to see if you do have your bird feeders out in the wintertime. This is a winter bird for us. They will go north for the spring to breed, so we tend not to have them around in the spring and summertime, but it's a very common winter bird here, the dark-eyed junco. And keep an eye out for things like tufted titmouse, the nuthatches, chickadees. If you have any kind of peanuts out, these birds go crazy for them. So same as woodpeckers, things like downy woodpecker, red-bellied woodpecker, they love the suet and they love things like peanuts, and they'll eat the black oil sunflower seed too. So good diversity of birds are out there, even though it is the winter time. And with every day, sometimes it's kind of feeling a little bit warmer. And on a day like today, when the sun is shining, spring is in the air. So on Tuesday, we'll talk about some of the new products we have coming in for spring. We've got some really cool new insect houses and bird houses and some fun and interesting new bird feeders. So something to be excited for if you are getting your yard all set up for the spring, or if you're looking for something new to put out even this time of the year. We have lots of new stuff coming into the store, so we'll go over some new products on Tuesday. But until then, everybody have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.